Many thanks to those who supported this project on Patreon, and those who support it with their activity. If you are unfamiliar with it, this is my horror sandbox game where you play as a spaceship pilot, completing tasks and trying to survive while encountering random scary events. This game has come a long way from its demo to the current alpha version. Now it's time to publish it and take stock of the progress so far. But before that, I have something else to show you. This is the final update before publication on itch.io, where you can now download it, by the way. So this time it all starts with suggestions on my Discord server. Since there are some pretty big gameplay additions coming up, for example but I decided to start with something simpler. For example, tags for all items that can be interacted with. Now you can understand what kind of item you're looking at, or what a particular button does. I also added the ability to jump, and then removed it right away. You see, jumping is not necessary at all, except for moments when something is out of reach. This is a problem I still need to solve, but the usual ability to jump causes so many other bugs and clipping that I don't even want to think about fixing them. However, as a counterbalance, I added running. At some point, this walking speed really gets annoying. Remember the solar panels you need to clean? So, the next significant suggestion is to add similar dirt to your ship. This rather simple mechanic, in my opinion, binds the player even more to their ship. The last proposed quality of life feature is hints. You get them when you first appear in the world, sit behind the wheel of the ship, or pick up a tablet. These hints help you quickly understand how to interact with an object. Other suggestions included general gameplay mechanics and plot details, which I will return to later. At some point, I decided to search for videos of my game on YouTube to get some feedback and see things from a different perspective. I found several videos about the demo version, but none about the newer versions. However, surprisingly, after a while, Burnup posted a recording of the stream where he plays version 0.7.1.
Let's do this. So this is isolated inhale. It's going to look a little weird because I have an ultra-wide monitor and I can't change the video settings for some reason. If you could add like just a windowed mode would be sick. This is already way different, dude. This is sick. Okay. Press to exit. Oh, probably like the use button. Oh, hello. Dude, this is freaking sick. This is so different than like when we played last time. What's this? Oh. Oh, that's my suit. Dude, this is so freaking cool. This is huge. There was not a space station last I played.
I'm very grateful to him for this and his suggestions, which motivated me to finally finish the screen resolution and window mode options. He also suggested adding a toggle crouch option, which I did. But the most important thing I realized from watching the gameplay, apart from the bugs,
why won't you sell? I don't understand you.
It is difficult for the player to navigate all the things that the game throws at them at the very beginning.
Take the report blank tablet. Oh, there's an arrow. Hello. Do you have a tablet for me?
In addition, there are no clear instructions on what to do at this point. For the reasons described above, I decided to block all doors before the player talks to the bot. The tutorial was simplified. I removed the step with saving and buying food. Everything else proceeds as usual except for the final part, where a message appears on the pilot's panel explaining the docking mechanics. After that, you need to return to the bot, which explains what to do next and gives you a manual tablet with basic information about your ship's systems. In the manual, you can also read about the new, confusing at first glance mechanic, fuel generation. You see, this was one of the main problems, because it's literally a soft lock if you run out of fuel. The only option remaining in this case is to die. Now you can turn on the fuel generator, which only works under conditions of low oxygen and temperature. Now the player will finally be able to see the events of the second tier, as the maximum progress of the game now allows this. After completing the investigation, 3 tasks become available at once, which you can complete in any order. You already know about one of them, task at the solar station. However, a new aspect has appeared here, passive income. Firstly, the station has a total energy generation indicator, which depends on how clean the solar panels are and whether they're facing the right direction. If the generation level exceeds 10%, the station will be powered. This is what you need to achieve in the task. After that, the higher the generation, the faster the energy cells will charge, which you can then produce at any time. They are quite expensive, but they are marked as WIP in the manual, as well as other new portable resource containers, because you cannot yet use them to restore your ship's resources. Upon completing clean energy, additional solar panels will appear on your ship, increasing energy generation. I wanted to make the oxygen task a little more interesting than just picking up a plant and planting it. You arrive at the station and first head to the elevator that takes you to the control room. There you will see a panel that is responsible for opening and closing the rooms on the station. Maybe something will be waiting for you in one of these rooms in the future, who knows? The oxygen generation on the station is too low, so the station only allows 2 rooms to be unlocked at a time. Now you need to obtain a bag of seeds and plant them. Each plant grows over time and you can harvest it. The harvested product will be used in crafting, but for now, you can only sell it. Also, each plant has its own oxygen generation level, which affects the overall generation level of the station. The higher the generation, the more rooms you can open at the same time. And don't forget about the resource containers production. The reward, in addition to money, is an improvement to the oxygen controller, which reduces oxygen consumption. Trust me, you'll need this for the final mission. The only resource left is fuel, so the last task is related to it. Now it is called liquid gold. When you arrive at the fuel station, you're greeted by a front door blocked by boxes. It would seem that this is a dead end, and there is no way to get into the station. But wait, a hint appears, suggesting that you turn on interior mode. In this mode, the player can now rearrange the furniture. It should be noted here that I have blocked the rearrangement of furniture at the main station, and also blocked the rearrangement of large objects such as cabinets, beds, fridges, and so on. This is so that you cannot drag all the furniture into the pilot's room and barricade all the doors with boxes and just sit there. And by the way, returning to oxygen, the player can find plant pots that they can rearrange and plant. So after unlocking the entrance, you need to go outside. There's a courtyard with drills. You can't even imagine how fast I was when I was writing the code for this. I was so happy when I was able to test it a week later and it worked. Once started, they generate ore over time, which you need to bring inside the refinery, turn on the furnace, and smelt. The richer the ore, the more fuel it generates. You can melt the ordinary things, but in the end, it will not pay off. Also, this station is planned to tell a story about murder of NOLA station workers. That's why you can find their remains here. As in previous stations, your goal is to make a container with a resource. A unique reward for completion is an improved engine and controller, which significantly saves fuel. And I forgot to change its texture here. Now that you have completed enough tasks, your access has been upgraded. The ship upgrade room has become available, and a new special task has appeared in the chip dispenser, which, like the first one, is given to you personally by the bot. This task will determine the player's future fate, although at first glance it seems like a regular container delivery task. Well, it actually is, but I won't tell you the details until it's done. I'll just say that the linearity of the plot should end there. I will also add that secret chips, task chips for some reason, are back in the game and now have a specific role in the plot and gameplay, in addition to cash rewards. They were created by one of the faction's pilots, who uses them to describe a creature that for some reason does not like the fact that you are upgrading the ship. As you understand, this is the Breathless. Now, he is present in the game and really becomes more aggressive with each upgrade. In addition, he is now afraid of excessive oxygen, and taking advantage of this, you can get rid of him for some time. From the chips, you will also learn that he is not homeless and has a lair. This concerns the mentioned special task, so it is still in development. In summary, the game now has at least several hours of gameplay. With your help, I managed to make it cleaner and more understandable, although it still needs work. More sandbox stuff is needed, such as cooking, crafting, resource synthesis, ship configuration, inventory, and so on. Simply having more items also adds variety to the interaction. Also, many of you really like the idea of the game and its implementation, but unfortunately it is still very far from supporting its full-time development. That is why I urge you to support this project to give it a chance to reach release.